Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Melissa, but if you are one of my esteemed subscribers and you've been following along, then you already know that you can call me Missy. This week I started out working on a different project, and here's the dining set that will be replacing my current dining set. But due to circumstances,
this dining set is old enough that it's possible that one of these layers of paint is actually lead-based.
I have had to pivot, and instead I am going to be working on making a robe for myself. I have this blanket, which I'm pretty sure is 100% cotton. It's nice and heavy, but it doesn't have excellent insulating properties for winter time. It is also stained in a few places. And for a while, I've been wanting a robe that would provide a good amount of coverage that I could just kind of walk around. A good amount of coverage for when I need to walk around. Because every once in a while, when I'm half dressed, for those times when I need to walk around my house partially dressed. So I'm gonna see what I can do with this. Let's get working.
I started this project by raiding my stash of patterns. I wasn't looking for any pattern in particular, but I was looking for a pattern that I might be able to use to Frankenstein together something that I had in mind. And speaking of what I had in mind, I decided to go ahead and draw up my idea on my chalkboard. I was thinking of having a bit of a more basic robe-like shape at the top and then having quite a bit of flare down towards the bottom. And then I thought it would be nice to have a bit of volume in the sleeves so that if I was just layering it over something for warmth, I wouldn't have to worry about the sleeves being too tight. With this in mind, I had a pattern that I thought could work for this project. I have never used this pattern before, so I had to unfold it for the first time and start cutting out the pieces that I wanted to use. Most of my patterns are thrifted, so I don't usually have to cut out pattern pieces. However, this one was gifted to me by one of my neighbors. Thanks again. I think one of the worst things about cutting out patterns is how thin the paper is. There's no satisfying bite to the scissors when you go through this paper. Anybody else notice that? Just me? Anyways, after I was done cutting out the pieces I needed, I just had to fold up the rest of the pattern.
Question number one, how long is this going to be? Okay, so that's about to my knee. That should be fine. Question number two, how do I want to deal with the neck portion? Because that is going to be way too wide. It's just too much neck. But maybe that'll give it some good crossover. I just really have to worry about the back, I guess. This is the front. So that'll give me plenty of space in the front to overlap. So I get plenty of coverage that way. I stop at this 14 mark. That might actually work out okay. Well, I think it will be long enough, so that'll be good. Where the sleeves are concerned, I don't know what I'm doing. I guess we'll get the body together first, and then we'll see what the sleeves are gonna end up looking like. But yeah, I think I've got a good start here. So I'm just going to go and forge ahead. I'm playing with the idea of creating a sort of shoulder by folding this down and having that be the shoulder section. But I'm not 100% sure what that'll do to the front, but I think I'm going to cut it out as the skirt shape first, and then I'll play with the shapes after, because this is subtracting, which I can do easily afterwards, but I cannot add it easily. I think I'll have enough for all of the skirt pieces. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough for a flared sleeve, which I'm not entirely sure that I want a big billowy sleeve anyways, because if I end up using this robe to do something with my hands, then the sleeve would get in the way of that potentially. So I think I'm just going to do the skirt pieces for now. We'll figure out the sleeves later. I might not have enough for the big sleeves anyways, so we're just gonna keep going and see where things lead us.
As you can see, I have the front center panel lined up along that wavy edge, and then I used my hand to add a few inches to the bottom.
It is day 2 of making myself a robe out of this old blanket, and yesterday I finished cutting out these skirt panel pieces to make the top part of the robe, and I still have the sleeves to cut out. However, I do want to see so far how this is coming. I marked out where I would do that shoulder piece. I'm going to just sew it together with the widest stitch possible on my machine, see how that fits together, how it drapes and all of that, and then I will move forward from there. So let's get to work. All right, here it is with just the shoulders sewn on. Let's see. It's gonna be kind of like this. Okay, I had thought the neck would be too wide, but it seems like it's just fine. And I had additionally thought that perhaps it would make the sides comically shorter, but it's actually fine with that too. I do think that the top part could be perhaps a little bit smaller, but I think if I sew a little pleat into the back, that would fix that. Always with my projects, I can't believe how well things turn out when I literally just run in head first with no idea what I'm doing. Although this week did start with me doing that and then finding lead and running into a brick wall and falling over and doing the hard pivot. So maybe I'm not as blessed as I thought I was. You know what? No. I'm as blessed as I feel I am, and I'm blessed. Okay, so the next thing to tackle is the sleeve. So here's my sleeve pattern piece. It is quite wide, which I like up until the point that I have to cut it out, and then it doesn't fit into the rest of this fabric, which is what I have left. So I think what I'm gonna do instead is fold in these wider corners of the sleeve and then cut it out from there. Here we go.
I just used my ruler to make sure that I was folding it in an equal distance on either side. And then I took a quick break because my book was absolutely destroying me. Like, look at the sobbing. And then I just continued to cry as I worked because that little toy lamb, it really got me going. And if you're curious, I was listening to Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. And no spoilers here, but if you've read the book, it was the sheep at the monastery that I was crying about. Anyway, I cut out my sleeve and I have it doubled, so I had to cut it twice because the fabric's really thick and my scissors could not handle 2 layers. I also added some length to the sleeves because I have long arms. But I also feel that robes should have nice, thick hems on the sleeves. And as always with the sewing video, after cutting comes the sewing. Since I was just figuring stuff out as I go, I wasn't sure exactly how wide the armholes would be on the body. So I ended up sewing the sleeve in and leaving a little bit of space at the armpit, and then sewing the other side, leaving space at the arm, so I could figure out how far up the seam came on the body.
Here's what we're working with. I'm excited for how it's turning out. It's very voluptuous, it's very cozy, but there are a few things that we need to look into here. First of all, as you can see, I have pinned up the back collar into a pleat that I think will help with this neckline, because without that you can imagine how wide and saggy that would be. Additionally, if you look at how far over my shoulder this is coming and then how long these sleeves are, I think I could probably lose a few inches here in the shoulder and be happy with that. Aside from those couple of things, I think I still want to add pockets to it. I'm not sure whether I'm going to add the pockets in the same fabric as this, or if I am going to try and find some thinner fabric, just add some pockets. I feel like even in a robe, you still want there to be pockets. Finally, I'm not sure entirely what I want to do for closures, whether I want to do some kind of a button situation where it buttons in the front, or if I want to have a tie, maybe both. But as you can see, it's coming together. The sleeve is just very loosely stitched on, but it's a little bit more solidly stitched down the sides. Let's see. Potentially I could even just put the button up at the top and the whole thing would probably stay fairly well closed. Anyways, I should probably get to work making some of those adjustments, so here we go.
In order to adjust the shoulders, I needed to first remove the sleeves, so I have my seam ripper and I went ahead and got rid of those. I also determined that I did like what was going on with the shoulders, so I cut off the excess fabric there and used my ruler to make sure that both of the adjusted shoulders would match. Again, I had to cut away some excess material.
One more day. One more day working on this robe. I feel like it doesn't look too different from the blanket it started out as. One more day. I'm not sure how I'm gonna finish the edges of this because I'm not sure that my sewing machine can handle the bulk. So let's get this baby done.
And now we return to the sewing machine. I was able to do a rolled hem. It did work on the sewing machine, but not over the pleats. So I had to zigzag stitch the edge with the pleats and then just fold them over once and then sew them down. And ultimately I ended up putting a little bit of woven cotton ribbon over that raw edge, just to finish it off nicely and reinforce that spot. I also pinned the hems on the sleeves and then made sure that they were equal lengths approximately. I just eyeballed it and then sewed it down. It turned out fine. This is a robe. I'm not going anywhere in it. I then cut out a couple of pockets to put on the front of the robe. I did end up making it out of the same material as the rest of it. And again, because of how thick it is, I just zigzag stitched the edge and folded it in once before sewing it down on top, so top stitching it down. And now it's time for the reveal.
Oh no, it's winter time and I'm so cold and I just got out of the shower. What will I do? I have to walk to my room and it's cold? I know. I'll put on my robe. I put on my robe. My beautiful robe. What do I do when I'm fresh from the douche and it's way too cold? I put on my robe. My robe. My robe. Now I'm trying to pick an outfit to wear, but they're all so cute. It's really hard to choose. What was that? A knock on the door? Sacre bleu. What'll I do? I know. I'll put on my robe. robe. I'll put on my robe. 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 I'll put on my robe. It's 9 p.m. and I'm doing a little doom scroll, trying to get cozy. That's my goal. When it occurs to me something's missing, what I know. My robe. My robe. That's my robe. This is not a Snuggie, it's my robe. My robe. I'm in my robe. Why do I keep using this French accent when the word for robe in French is peignoir? Because it's my robe. I hope that satisfied your need for excessively silly robe content, you fabulous weirdos. Since that reveal segment didn't do a whole lot to showcase the features of my robe, I will do so now. First of all, the sleeves are nice and wide, so even when I'm wearing fabulous sleeves like these, the robe sleeves easily encase them and comfortably encase them, which is a nice feature. I don't know how useful it'll be, but it's a nice feature. Next, I added buttons to this robe, so there's one on the inside top. My kids, I hope you don't mind them. I hope you can't hear my kids in the background. They sound crazy. And then there's another button over here, so it folds over, and then buttons closed, and then one more down here to hold everything in place. I look like a cult leader. Next feature to show you is these wonderful pockets. They're nice and deep and wide. So as you can see, I can easily fit my phone right into one of these bad boys. I love having these pockets. I made this robe several weeks before filming this, so I can verify that it is so fabulous, so cozy to wear. I love wearing it right after I get out of the shower. I love wearing it just to be cozy in the evenings. It's cold right now, so it's actually quite warm. The last feature is this tie. You'll see that it's a different fabric, because this fabric was a little much to try and fold over to try and make a nice clean tie out of. This was from an old robe that I had, but I had gotten rid of it and I couldn't find the tie when I donated it. So I donated it without the tie, and then I found the tie later. So I was like, I'll just use it for this project. And of course, I have little loops. And then when I have it all tied up, it looks kind of like those men's Renaissance tunics. I'll add some pictures here of what I'm talking about. Because it's so full and it folds over so much, I don't get a whole lot of my legs being exposed, but I also feel like I have lots of room to move my legs. Not that I'm doing a lot of leg activity in my bathrobe, but it's nice to know I have the option. There are no downsides to this robe. I love it so much. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. If you liked anything about that video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you would like to support my channel, go ahead and put some kind of a sewing emoji down in the comments down below, and make sure that you subscribe so that we can see each other in the next video. Bye.